It's back, baby. Doctor Who has returned, and guess what? It's perfect. Succession, The Wire, Breaking Bad, dog shit. Russell is back and has single-handedly revamped the show as one of, the best pieces of art ever produced. Wait, no, sorry, that's the wrong script. Woke The Who has returned to force its political agendas down our throats. The Disney overlords are deep into their propagandistic program to brainwash our children into acceptance of difference. And it has to be stopped. Doctor Who recently returned on the 25th of November with its first of 3 specials celebrating 60 years of the show, kind of. And Russell T Davies has also returned, making us another step further from Christopher Eccleston ever appearing on the show again.
Sack Russell T Davies, sack Jane Tranter, sack Phil Collinson, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back. So can you arrange that?
As well as Russell, the iterations of the Doctor and Companion have also returned, who were present during his last written season back in 2008. And I thought after my harsh words towards the past 3 years of the show ran by Chris Chibnall, I thought it would be only fair to look back on these 3 episodes, see what worked, what was better, what was bad. And honestly, as a surprise to me, there was plenty of each. Now, just a quick insight into my expectations regarding these specials. Firstly, I was surprised when I heard that the 3 episodes would be 3 separate stories. The marketing leading up kind of made me feel like it would be one huge 3-part story, but I guess it kind of makes sense for the overarching plot. Next, the sense that they'd be playing heavily into nostalgia didn't really bother me at all. Not gonna lie, I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and for me, harking back to 2008 Doctor Who will definitely do the job, but I did still want something more expansive and meaningful for these characters. It's the No Way Home debate all over again. Getting people hooked on nostalgia isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as you give those nostalgic characters something new to do. Also, so I don't need to keep justifying a lot of my points with, at least they did this better than the Chibnall era. Yeah, the past 3 seasons were badly written, alright, everyone knows it. And there will be some moments where I'm just thankful that this isn't that. Opinions are subjective at the end of the day. Everyone on the planet has some sort of bias attached to anything and everything, so please leave me alone. So let's do this episode by episode, starting with number 1, the Star Beast. So straight off the bat, I don't know what this Whoniverse thing is, and I'd rather not know. Obviously there's probably something in the pipeline, spin-off shows and this and that, but I'm kind of getting tired of the preemptiveness. Maybe wait until it actually works before sticking this, at the moment meaningless, intro onto every episode. But wait, it gets worse.
Once upon a time.
This looks awful. I get that for new audiences they need a little recap, whatever, but they could have at least made it look good. Just David Tennant in front of a green screen, he's not even standing on anything.
Once upon a time. Once upon a time, Lord.
Doesn't even make any sense. Then this brings us to the new intro, and it's okay. One of the things I was most excited for was the return of Murray Gold. If there was one thing that stayed consistent in Doctor Who from 2005 to 2017, it was the music. It never dropped the ball, and I like the new theme. The use of piano is a really nice touch, but there is one certain aspect of the theme I don't really like, which is way more noticeable during the closing credits theme. It's that breathing. It's so weird. Also, I'm not sure how I feel about the different shots in the intro. I myself prefer a more standard one-shot intro sequence, but hey, that's just me. But anyways, the episode starts and straight away it looks nice, which was a lovely change of pace. No more constant close-ups, no more oversaturation, just good direction and not overcomplicating itself. And there he is. It's your boy.
Skinny penis.
Straight off the bat, Tennant hasn't missed a beat when it comes to this role. Even from the first shot, it really brought back so many memories. I also really like how the plot just starts straight away. He finds Donna and then straight away there's a spaceship. No need for flim-flam, no time to lose, just squirt us straight into the action. Lovely jubbly. This is also where we meet Donna's 15-year-old daughter, Rose, and she's transgender. Remember that because it is vital to the plot. Now, I knew about Donna having a daughter and her being called Rose and all that jazz, but I didn't know that her character and the actress playing her was trans until these pretty subtle lines from Sylvia later on.
When I say she looks gorgeous, I mean, is it sexist? Never said it to him when he was...
Obviously, this, as well as some other lines later on, has sparked some controversy, but I don't think simply having a trans character in your show is a desperate attempt of being woke just on its own. I mean, I don't know what Russell's intent was creating the character of Rose because I'm not inside Russell's head. So all I have to go on is the content of this episode. I like the way this aspect of Rose's character enhances or sheds a different light on Donna's relationship with her. Lines between her and Sylvia hinting towards her maybe being more protective or solicitous towards her. Also, Rose being transgender has a clear impact on her acceptance of the Meep when they first meet. Fuck off. I did find the scene of the bullies dead naming her a little silly. I feel like if we were going to see examples of the discrimination she's faced, it could have been done a little less forced. I didn't really feel the impact of the scene I'm guessing it was attempting. And there are some other questionable lines and moments that I'll get to later on. One problem I did have with the character of Rose though was the acting. One of my friends have told me that Yasmin Finney's apparently really good on Heartstopper, which I haven't seen. I don't know if it's a clearly northern accent coming through or what.
I think it's safe for you to come down now.
But I didn't believe a single word coming out of her mouth.
There's a plane crashing. But that's 9 million people.
Anyway, so we meet our villain for the episode, Beep the Meep. And as our first alien of this era, I like the way it was brought to life, through the combination of practical and special effects. The Doctor then sneaks through a fence and we get introduced to, I forgot her name, and she's in a wheelchair. Fucking woke propaganda bullshit. A bunch of soldiers go up to the Meep's ship and some light squirts on them and their eyes go all glowy. Now, I wasn't expecting Russell to reinvent the wheel at this point, especially with the nostalgia fest that this was advertised to be, but so far, and then for the majority of this episode, it really does feel like 2008 Doctor Who. I wasn't expecting a Midnight or Utopia or Fear Her, but as a first episode with a lot to establish, I was expecting a similar quality to something like Partners in Crime, the first episode of Series 4, which I'd say this is, mostly. So we get some nice characterization with Donna and then the Doctor turns up. I do get that she's already seen him by this point, but it was a bit strange how blasé and careless he suddenly became from now on regarding Donna. Like, for no reason, all his worries have evaporated and now he has no issue talking to her, but whatever.
I can help him get home and then you'll never see me again.
You're assuming he as a pronoun.
That's cringe. Suddenly there's a knock on the door and it's the glowy-eyed people, and then the bug people come from the other side and they both just start shooting each other for eternity, or at least long enough for the Doctor to create 2 force fields to get him and the gang upstairs. I'm not surprised this irritated some people. The overuse of the Sonic has become a bit of a meme at this point, but I'm fine with this. I'd say it makes sense in the logic of the Sonic, and it's not exactly an overpowered feature. I mean, it takes him like 30 seconds to make just one of these, and it's shown that they don't take a whole lot of damage. The gang then escapes through the attics, gets onto the street and escapes in a taxi. And for some reason the bug people's guns do absolutely no damage to the car. But whatever, it's Doctor Who, it's stupid. But then, oh snap! The Doctor becomes quite suspicious of the Meeper, so they park up and we get a really good scene of the Doctor basically reenacting a courtroom.
This court is now in session.
And for the first time in a long time, the Doctor actually comes across as intelligent, without just spouting a bunch of scientific mumbo-jumbo. And then dumb old me from a couple minutes ago wondering why the Bugmen's guns weren't damaging the car, it actually comes into play.
Exhibit A, the taxi. No scorch marks. We were hit by plasma bolts, but there isn't a mark.
And I love this. These sorts of things are great because the show is allowing the audience to use their brains. If someone didn't pick up on the guns doing no damage to the car, it doesn't really matter. But if you do pick up on it, then this revelation feels all the more rewarding. But yeah, the Meep is evil, which honestly wasn't a surprise to me.
Because I'm clever!
It's a bit of a trope to have the most innocent looking thing on the planet actually be evil, and it just made sense for the plot up to this point. The Meep takes the Doctor and the fam captive. We then get a pretty neat scene of Donna wanting to know the truth about the Doctor with a great rendition of the Doctor's theme, a motif first used all the way back during Ecky's run in 2005. Stupid. And then throughout the whole show. We find out in this scene the reason Donna gave away all the money left for her in the end of time. A nice way of showing the Doctor's memory still lives somewhere inside of her.
There are places out there where people are in danger and in pain and fear.
Very nice, touching scene. Rose just looks bored the whole time. We then find out the Meep's plan to basically destroy London to start their ship.
But that's 9 million people.
Cheers, Rose. It kind of reminds me of a line Ryan would say.
He was their target. That was the stuff that was on the holy man's body.
7 humans left.
That's 9 million people.
The gang are then taken upstairs to be eaten by Meepers, and then Shirley turns up and starts firing weapons from her wheelchair.
You've got weapons in your wheelchair?
We all have
have!
What does that even mean? So the Doctor goes off to switch off the ship from destroying London, but Donna follows him in an attempt to help. The Doctor's pressing all the buttons, but then a big glass wall separates the two, meaning the Doctor has to get Donna to press the right buttons on her side of the wall, while the Doctor presses the right buttons on his side. Riveting stuff. Unfortunately, they run out of time, and the Doctor's left one more option: to activate Donna's memory, making her the Dr. Donna again, and giving her the skills to stop the ship. And as we've been taught, doing this will kill her. I mean, I've seen the trailers, I know she's in the next two specials, so all this emotion coming from Tennant in this scene kind of came across a bit over dramatic. And before you write your annoying comments, yeah, I get that the Doctor hasn't seen the trailer and he doesn't know she survives this, but my point is most of the audience do, so I don't know why it was dragged out this much. Still though, I'm sure this sparks some emotions in a lot of people watching. The acting coming from both Tate and Tennant is still pretty great. I also like how the Doctor gives her memory back. All these random words are clearly some sort of password, and I like how it doesn't have to be spelled out to us. Again, just trusting the audience to figure out what's happening without making us feel talked down to. Also, the visual parallel to the end of time with the Doctor and Wilf was really nice use of reincorporation. But yeah, anyway, the Dr. Donna comes back and they press all the buttons, and then the ground splitting apart reverses somehow, and then Donna dies, but not really, because obviously not.
Binary. Non-binary. Binary.
Non-binary. Russell, you're so clever. What the fuck? I honestly don't know how to feel about this. Like, I get it, I understand it. I'd be interested to know what Yasmin Finney thinks about this aspect of the plot. To me, it just kind of feels like Russell realising that one of the last things Donna said was the word binary over and over again, and then he just couldn't help himself, so desperately tried to make it all tie in. I'm sure that's all this is, not another attempt at brainwashing, just Russell thinking he's being a lot more clever than he actually is. I've heard some criticism that this devalues the loss of Donna in Journey's End, but I don't really see how that holds up. I mean, yeah, she comes back, but it did take 15 years of waiting, and Donna having to have a child, and the child needing to be trans for it to work. Is that what happened? They save the day, the meat goes away, and then, uh-oh.
It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. She'd have understood.
Russell, you almost pulled this off without angering me. No, she wouldn't. She just objectively wouldn't. Don't get me wrong, I love Jodie Whittaker. If you haven't seen Time on BBC, she's really genuinely great in it, but her incarnation of the Doctor was objectively stupid. The Doctor's only as smart as the writer writing them, and...
Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Just let it go.
If you're being really generous, you could say that this is referring to Tennant's Doctor specifically, not definitively saying all men can't let things go, but it really does feel strange and corny to me. Also a bit ham-fisted, like all they're saying is we're going to release all this power in our brains, so I don't really see what it has to do with the Doctors or their genders. But, you know, whatever, I'm not going to cry about it, you know, it's a stupid line, it's a criticism I have of the episode, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. We then get our new version of the TARDIS, and yeah, it's right. It does seem a bit empty. Capaldi's TARDIS is still my favourite from New Who. Don't care, fight me. But I like the classic era inspiration with the multi-levels. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Donna throws a coffee on the console, and bada bing, that's the Star Beast. Overall, it was alright. Definitely a step up from the previous era, and some genuinely great scenes throughout. But with the plot contrivances and an annoying, pretty tone-deaf line here and there, it didn't really fuel any more excitement for the next two episodes than I already previously had. Also, just quickly, there was some speculation about how this Doctor would be different to 10, but after seeing how safe this episode played it, and the way they were already banking on nostalgia, it was pretty clear he'd just be more or less the same. But yeah, the Star Beast, 6 out of 10. Boom. Alright, episode DOS. So we begin in 1666, and to this day I'm still trying to figure out why this scene exists, if not for the sole reason of a running joke throughout the episode. Isaac Newton's sitting under a tree and an apple falls on him. The Doctor and Donna crash into the tree, they make a gravity joke, he mishears them, and now gravity is mavity. If you like the scene, fair dues. I guess it adds some humour to a pretty tense and at times scary episode of Who, but to me it was pointless and mun-funny. So the duo lands on some sort of ship. I was kind of hoping the TARDIS would just be destroyed after this episode and we'd get another new interior. Not hating on the current one or anything, I just thought it would be funny. Obviously they're not going to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on a set that's going to be used for 10 minutes of screen time, but whatever. So when the TARDIS lands, it's playing the song Wild Blue Yonder, a war song from the 1940s, and obviously being the title of the episode. Essentially just dropping the hint that there's some sort of threat lurking on the ship. The Doctor and Donna go through a door and we're met with my biggest complaint of the episode, which you've probably already guessed, and it rhymes with visual effects. I'm going to stop doing that now. I appreciate they're trying to step away from just every ship being a standard corridor, but honestly, I'd take a really well designed corridor set over this. Something about the green screen just really doesn't look right. Like the parallax seems off, or the use of focus, something just seems off, and it was really distracting throughout the whole scene. But suddenly the TARDIS disappears because of something dangerous on board, leaving the Doctor and Donna stranded. And already I really love the build up of tension in this first act. All we get are constant hints of something dark nearby, really effectively building intrigue. The Doctor clicks a button, bringing up a vehicle to take them down the corridor, and they find this robot which will come into play later on. That doesn't look good. We get some mystery building, and then one of my favourite scenes in Doctor Who for years. The Doctor goes to another room to fondle with some tubes, and Donna stays in this room to play with some things. As soon as the Doctor comes back in the room, there's instantly a feeling of something just being off. Donna's breath suddenly being visible, and the Doctor slowly sinking down to the floor. But when Donna starts talking to him, it seems like nothing's wrong. And then we just get this simple cut back to the Doctor still in the same room as before. It's so subtle, it's great. That's not the Doctor, and this isn't Donna. This sort of subtle uncanniness is such an effective type of horror to me. And my favourite parts of the episode aren't the monster teeth or huge galloping versions of the Doctor and Donna with pretty cheap looking filters on their faces. It's when these two characters are just so nearly our main characters, but not quite. Also, I was so caught up in the horror aspects of this scene on my first few watches, I didn't even realise the great dialogue coming from both the Doctor and Donna in this scene.
I wonder how long they'll wait. Standing there in that alley, waiting for the TARDIS to come back.
Funny, because I wonder where the TARDIS goes. Maybe it lands on some outcrop. There's a tribe and they worship it for 100 years. Then they grow up, they try to burn it. Then they get wise, they preserve it. Then they build a city. All around it.
Donna thinking about how each of her family members would commiserate the alleyway she left them in if she never came back, and the Doctor building in his head an entire lore of where the TARDIS goes when it flies off without him.
Do you miss home, Gallifrey?
I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot Chibnall just destroyed it again for no reason. Another thing I want to mention is Tennant's acting throughout this episode. They're both always great, but something about how he plays the role of the Not Thing is so creepy. Whereas Tate at the beginning more just plays it like an emotionless robot.
My arms are too long. My arms are too long.
The Not Doctor is so much more sinister.
He's lovely, Wilf. Such a nice man. Oh, we get hungry, don't we?
Like, he has the ability to emote. This being just has such a lack of care and empathy for our two main characters. He delivers the lines a lot more matter-of-factly, and it makes it so much more creepy. But yeah, the effects don't really bother me here. The Doctor's arms are actually a pretty impressive practical effect, and the opening jaw doesn't look too bad, but then them chasing the car didn't really do it for me. I think the reason why it frustrates me here is this is just the first time I've had a real visceral reaction to Doctor Who in so long, and the effects do pull me out of what had the potential to be a truly scary piece of television. After some tense corridor walking, the Doctor and Donna emerge to find each other, or are they not each other? That's the whole point. Another really great scene, both of them trying everything to prove they're themselves, but also confusing themselves in the process. After all, we still don't know exactly how these things work, so there's no distinction between the truth or a bluff or a double bluff or a triple bluff at this point.
You don't know where you're from.
Oh no. Here we go. So this was kind of inevitable. Russell's obviously good friends with Chibnall, so I think it was a bit far-fetched to believe that all the fluxiness and timelessness was going to be just completely ignored. Say what you want about it, but that would be disrespectful to Chibnall's work, in quotations. And it's fascinating to see so much more emotion from both these characters surrounding this topic than anyone expressed throughout both these ordeals. I myself just can't connect with this emotion, partly because it was awful, and partly because I still don't even understand what happened in Flux. So yeah, I guess the reaction from the Doctor makes sense, but Chibnall really made it impossible for the fallout from the Flux and the Timeless Children to really connect. Because when Donna started explaining how she saw into his mind and what he's gone through since seeing her, my mind just jumped straight to events like Heaven Sent and the Pandorica and how broken 12 was at the end of his run. Because I felt the weight of those moments when they happened. Flux was only last year, I'm pretty sure, and I've just completely forgotten it ever happened. I really like the way Donna realises this is the fake Doctor, noticing his tie has disappeared and him just dropping the facade after realising a new aspect of this reality. After being reminded of how bad season 13 was, the Doctor has a bit of a tantrum and then all four of our characters meet up for yet another standoff, trying to figure out who's who. And the way we and the characters figure this out is through some really great characterisation of Donna.
Donna does not think she's stupid.
Oh, I do.
No, Donna thinks she's stupid, and sometimes she thinks she's brilliant.
Also something to mention, because it's kind of relevant for next episode, the Doctor pulls out a salt shaker and creates a line of salt, saying that there's a rule in their reality that demons are unable to cross the line without counting every grain. No problem with how it's used here. At this point, superstitions and unproved theories are all the Doctor and Donna really have to go on against these creatures, because they're almost exactly like them at this point. But there's a line at the end of the episode where the Doctor says,
I wish I hadn't done that thing with the salt.
That was just a lie.
Normally, except I invoked a superstition at the edge of the universe, where the walls are thin and all things are possible. Just got this feeling. What?
Now this is referring to the toy maker in the next episode, how him essentially playing a game at the edge of the universe here gave the toy maker a path to come through. This honestly does make sense to me as a concept, I just wish it was explained better. The Doctor having an inclination that doing the thing with the salt could have caused something bad is such a random worry to have that just so happens to be right.
Why are they making us so scared? If they want to copy us, why don't they just sit in a corner and do it? Why terrorise us?
That's a very good question.
Yes. Oh, brilliant.
It's really nice to watch a Doctor Who companion genuinely help out in these situations after being subject to just asking questions, giving exposition and explaining things the audience can already see. So the Doctor and Donna realise they need to stop thinking in order to slow down the Not-Thing's ability to copy them, which doesn't last very long. They eventually do work out what's going on though, after finding the captain of the ship floating through space caught in the Mavity field. She did this because she was being copied by the Not-Things, and so to prevent them from taking over and flying the ship to civilization, she started a countdown to blow up the ship, ejecting herself into space to prevent the Not-Things from learning about what she's done. Now this might just be me, but I found this reveal kind of confusing. Part of this is some of these reveals to me seemed kind of obvious but was treated as if it was a mind-blowing revelation, which then started making me second guess myself. But then one aspect that I just fully didn't get was everything about the countdown being slow.
We don't understand the slow, so the captain set out to slowly stop us.
The line, "we don't understand slow," I found quite confusing. After a couple rewatches, I'm pretty sure the countdown was set to be slow because a faster countdown would have been too obvious, and so would give the Not-Things a chance to stop it, but if you hear one number every couple hours, it makes it a lot harder to work out that it's a countdown. I think that's what's happening. If I'm wrong, I guess, like, let me know. But then if that's true, wouldn't it be easier for the captain to just like blow up the ship just there and then, rather than like set the countdown to be slow and then but yeah, no, I don't know. It either makes sense or it doesn't. You know, again, let me know in the comments. Or don't, actually. I don't care. Don't tell. So the robot from earlier is essentially the trigger for the bomb. So the Not-Things run after it to stop it, while the Doctor and Donna run after them to stop the stopping. That's not Donna. But then the Doctor just kind of stops chasing him, the TARDIS returns, and they save the day. I mean, not really. So all this chasing was kind of pointless because the Not-Things were never going to get there in time anyway. Like, it turns out the Doctor and Donna pretty much just did nothing this entire episode. In fact, them being there almost ruined the Captain's plan and would have doomed everything, but whatever. I'm fine with the notion of the Doctor and Donna not actually saving the day themselves, but I do think it's kind of pushing it when the conclusion of the episode is built up to be, you got to get there, you got to run, man, you got to get to the button, Doctor, you got to run, you got to get there before they get there. No, it doesn't matter. You can just go home. But yeah, the Doctor picked up the wrong Donna, and then we get another fake out where obviously she's not going to die. Why are you even showing me this? But then after a nice little scene of the Doctor and Donna in the TARDIS, we finally get our payoff. Now, obviously this is the only scene Bernard Cribbins was able to film before he passed away last year, but I'm so happy we got something. Even only being in a handful of episodes back in series 4, Wilf really made such a powerful impression on everyone who watched it, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone who watched this when I say this was truly rewarding. Just such an iconic character as well as human being. After this touching reunion, we get a pretty awkward precursor to the next episode where the toy maker is here to play his games. And the next story continues next Saturday at 6:30. But tune over to BBC 3 for this week's episode of Doctor Who Confidential. That was a BBC continuity announcement joke.
Sack Russell T Davies.
Anyways, overall it was good, mostly. There were some aspects of Wild Blue Yonder that I really loved, but the CGI and the third act really did hinder this one for me. I enjoyed it more than last week though. 7 out of 10. Moving on. On to the last episode of the specials, The Giggle. We begin in 1925. A man plods into an emporium for the purposes of procuring a puppet. He purchases the puppet as part of a plan to place in the presence of the very first television ever created. Although the man he buys the puppet from is very suspicious. Almost villain-like. But anyways, this scene is actually an interpretation of the real-life event where Scottish inventor John Logie Baird used a ventriloquist dummy nicknamed Stooky Bill as the subject for the first successful television transmission. Jump forward to 2023 and everyone's going crazy. The Doctor asks this man what's going on and he says this.
Everyone started thinking they're right all the time. If you try to argue, they go mad.
Definitely a bit of forced dialogue. I doubt this man in his unfiltered rage and anger would humour the Doctor to this extent and just fully explain what's happened to everyone's brains. But seeing NPH as the toy maker dancing in the background with this great change of focus was really creepy and effective. Suddenly Unit turns up and whisks Donna and the Doctor away to Unit headquarters where we see Kate, who we haven't seen since Capaldi's second season. Flux doesn't count. I don't think there's anyone who watched this and didn't think Kate was going to slap the Doctor as soon as she got to him, but as a nice subversion of expectations, she gives him a nice little cuddle. We head inside, which is where we meet Melanie, who is a 6th and 7th Doctor companion. Now, I haven't watched Classic Who, I simply don't have the time or patience. I'm sure it's great, right? But at least here I wasn't confused like in Power of the Doctor. I get a great sense of her character in this episode as well as the Doctor's love for her.
Oh, that is the best news, Melanie. Hello.
Ace? Tegan? What are you doing here?
Also, for 59, she looks bellissimo. So Kate explains to the Doctor what's going on and we get some good old political commentary.
But if everyone's going mad...
So is the government.
Why should I care about you?
No change there then.
I am anti-Z-Dex.
Yeah, not so subtle. We find out everyone's gone crazy because of a hidden giggle, the laugh of the toy maker hidden in everyone's screens using Stooky Bill as a literal puppet to drill the noise into the human race's brains. And maybe if we spent less time on our phones and more time reading the Bible, this sort of thing wouldn't happen. The Doctor and Donna decide to go back to 1925 to figure out what's going on. And it's here we get a full introduction to the Game Boy. Taskmaster. The toy maker. I really love this introduction. Him always having 3 balls in his hands, never showing where he's getting them from, and the look of anger and fear on the Doctor's face. Without even seeing the toy maker's first appearance, we instantly get a sense of what a big deal this is. Also, Murray Gold's theme for the toy maker is obviously great as well. D&D then get trapped in a maze created by the toy maker. It's here we get a little scene of dialogue between the two, which I'm guessing is to set up how broken the Doctor's become to give the ending of this episode more significance.
Oh, Sonic and Tardis and Time Lord, take that away. Take away the toys. What am I? I don't know if I can save your life this time.
Well, I do appreciate this. On surface level, it is a bit confusing why the Doctor's suddenly being so pessimistic and lacking in even enough hope to just make Donna feel better. But hey, at least this dialogue is in service of something. But Donna turns the Doctor's frown upside down and they carry on through the maze. Just make sure you don't get too far from each other because obviously the toy maker is going to attempt to split you up. Oh, for fuck's sake. Why? Why did you do that? We get some doll horror, kind of creepy. It didn't really do all that much for me, but honestly, I can see why some people would find this scary. The direction in this episode is honestly top tier Doctor Who. The toy maker puts on a puppet show for the Doctor and Donna, going over what happened to the Doctor after the events of season 4. This scene serves to basically fix a common criticism of Moffat's run, which I myself kind of held as well. It's always Moffat can't let characters go, which is true to a certain extent, but I know why he does it. Moffat loves high stakes, so he can never just simply have the companion leave the TARDIS or get dropped off somewhere. They have to die a horrific death. But also, this is Doctor Who, which, as a lot of people tend to forget, is primarily aimed at children. It's a light-hearted show. It would feel weird as fuck to just have Bill absolutely donutted straight through the chest and then leave it at that. But then doing this over and over again just ends up devaluing the high stakes he was trying to achieve in the first place. But here, the Toymaker makes a point of basically telling the Doctor, yeah, they all lived on in some kind of way, but your association with them still caused them to die. And I wouldn't argue they're better off. He robbed the companions of living a life on their own terms, and it's great Russell is addressing this and making clear both the show and the Doctor are aware of this. Also, I've got to mention how good Neil Patrick Harris is in this role. I really don't know what they would have done if he turned it down. Trying to get someone who can match Tennant's energy, be skillful with the deck of cards, can do multiple accents and perform an entire dance scene would be pretty tricky. The Doctor plays a game with the Toymaker and loses, but explains how he still owes him one more game because the Doctor won during their first interaction. Back on the unit base, the Doctor runs the team down on what's going on, but then the Toymaker returns to sing the Spice Girls in a really cool and creative dance sequence. This brings us to a standoff outside the unit base where the Toymaker takes hold of, oh my god, Tennant's dead. So the Toymaker shoots the Doctor, causing him to regenerate, and here's where things get controversial. Ncuti Gatwa splits out of David Tennant, and we now have two Doctors. I honestly don't have a problem with this, and the reason is for where it leaves our main character at the end of this episode. I mean, weird things always happen with regeneration. Introducing something else new doesn't really bother me, although I do have some minor complaints, which I'll get to later. Straight off the bat though, Ncuti is great. His flamboyant confidence is almost mesmerising to watch, and it's going to be really interesting to see him next season. So yeah, him and Tennant play catch with the Toymaker in a pretty underwhelming finale. I just wish it was shot or edited more interestingly, or there was more interesting choreography. Just something to make the scene a little bit more engaging. Even playing into how stupid this is would have been better. It would have been so funny if halfway through this sequence we just cut to a single wide of all of them running around playing catch without the music. Then this scene culminates in the Toymaker just dropping the ball, and then he gets flattened for some reason. But then, someone picks up the Master's hidden tooth. So it took me a couple of watches to work out exactly what's going on with this ending. Donna tells the Doctor that this is an opportunity to settle down and allow the next Doctor to fly around the universe saving stuff. And I'm pretty sure that the implication here is the Tennant Doctor eventually makes peace with his past by taking this break and will eventually become the 15th Doctor, which is why this one holds none of that same baggage. And I do love this idea. Let's be honest, since series 6, the treatment of our main character has become really messy. And no matter how controversial or forced this ending might feel, I'm happy we got the reset, finally back to basics. I mean, some sort of trauma or baggage I feel should be there for the Doctor. That's what makes him so interesting and three-dimensional, but after how confusing this character's past has become, this was definitely needed. My one problem with this though is I personally feel I still haven't got closure with this incarnation of the Doctor. First time he died, up to his last words, he didn't accept his fate. Next time we saw him was a nice footnote to his character, but it still didn't give us closure for him specifically. Not that that's what it was going for. But when going into these specials, I kind of wanted a healthy end to this incarnation of the Doctor, but now he's just still out there doing his thing. I doubt we'll ever get an ending with him, unless someone fucks up the show again for another 3 years. But yeah, that's one of my only complaints with the ending. And to be fair, I'm not going to act like this little table scene with the Doctor and Donna's family didn't hit me emotionally. I'm only a human being. Overall though, these specials were obviously a step up from the previous era, and I'm happy with the direction this show's going in. With a fresh reset, I'm actually interested to see where it goes. I mean, this show is still far from perfect, but it's a step in the right direction, and I'm here for it. But yeah, I'm giving the Giggle a 7 out of 10. I'm gonna go have a nap. Goodbye. Mwah.